You can definitely tell from my accent that English is not my native language. After taking classes in school for 5 years, I could not even have a basic conversation in English. I had to learn English on my own in my free time because I realized that my level was very low. So today I'm going to share with you the methods I used and the stuff that I wish I knew in the past so that I would not waste all of those years taking random classes. A quick disclaimer before we start. The stuff and the methods that I'm going to teach you in this video might not work for everybody. It definitely worked for me, but people are different. Having said that, it's worth giving this method a try and seeing for yourself whether it works for you or not. But first, hey friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Asim. I'm a polyglot. On this channel, we help students like you speak English fluently and confidently while enjoying the process. So let's dive in. In today's teaching, we will go through the 4 domains of English language development, practical ways to make English learning a routine, and 3 lessons that I wish I knew when I was learning English. Let's start with the 4 domains of English language development. Not understanding this concept was the biggest mistake I made when I was in school learning English. Because if I knew this, I would have learned English faster. There are 2 main aspects of language learning which are further divided into 4. The first one is receptive language, which is basically listening and reading, and the other one is expressive language, which includes writing and speaking. One thing I've noticed with a lot of English learners is that they focus on receptive language. All they do is listen, 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 and read, 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 which is great, but that leads them to understanding English very well. But they're not able to speak English. They're not able to express their ideas through speaking and writing. That's why for me school was not the best way to learn English, because we did not have the chance to do expressive activities like speaking and writing. We only focused on reading and learning grammar, which I understand because in school we had limited time for each subject. We would have 40 to 45 minutes, and there were around 40 to 45 students in our class as well. So if they made everyone speak for 1 or 2 minutes, then they would not have the time to do other things like explain the grammar topics or teach the syllabus. But you as an individual, if you want to make faster progress, if you want to learn English on your own, then you need to focus on all 4 domains. You cannot just ignore some parts and focus on the other parts. No, you need to focus both on receptive language and expressive language, i.e., listening, reading, writing, and speaking, all 4 of them. Now you might be thinking, oh, it's so overwhelming. I cannot focus on all 4 of those domains at the same time. It's just too much. Well, here comes the language learning routine that you can implement. And now I'm going to share with you 2 practical ways that you can make a daily English routine for yourself. We have 2 approaches when it comes to this. The first one is the broad approach. The broad approach is to do everything every day. It is to slowly and gradually work on all 4 things simultaneously, slowly. How does it look like? Well, let's say you have 2 hours per day that you can dedicate to English. Then for 30 minutes you practice writing, for the other 30 minutes you practice speaking, for the next hour you practice reading and listening, 30 minutes each. So you give each category 30 minutes and you do it all at once every single day. That is the broad approach. I would recommend this approach if you have more time. So if you have 2 hours or more time, then this approach is really great for you, because after 6 months or a year, you will be good at all of those categories all at once. But if you don't have a lot of time, then what I would recommend you to do is to choose the narrow approach. This means to choose 2 domains, like maybe listening and speaking, and you focus on it for the next 3 months, and after the 3 months you choose another 2 domains, writing and reading, and you focus on that, and then for the third 3 months you again focus on listening and speaking. So this way you only have to deal with 2 categories every day. You don't have to do all of those 4 categories and practice them all at once. You can just choose 2 categories, focus on them for the next 3 months, and forget about the 2. And then after those 3 months, you can choose the other 2 categories. This is what I did for my English learning journey as well. I didn't couldn't focus on all of the four categories, all of the four domains at the same time because I thought it was too much for me. So I didn't choose the broad approach. Instead, I chose the narrow approach and I picked two categories. I focused on them for a few months and then I switched to the other two. So in the beginning, I focused on listening and speaking because that was all I was interested in. And after I got better at it, I then switched to reading and writing. And then again, I switched to listening and speaking, so on and so forth. And this way, I continued my English learning journey. So, what I would recommend you to do is either choose the broad approach or the narrow approach. Just choose one and stick with it for the next 6 months to 1 year, and I guarantee you will have mastered all of the four domains of English learning development, English language development. Now I'm going to share with you three lessons that you should keep in mind and that really helped me in my English learning journey. If I knew these lessons before, my English would have improved faster. The first one is choose pronunciation over grammar. Look, in the beginning, when you start learning English, I believe that pronunciation is way more important than grammar because when you're speaking to somebody and you have terrible pronunciation but amazing grammar, they will not really understand you and they will not be interested in speaking with you. But if you have amazing pronunciation and they understand you well, even if you make some grammar mistakes, that would be fine. Plus, also, when you start learning grammar in the beginning, it's so boring, it's kind of overwhelming, it's very time consuming. So instead, just focus on pronunciation, get better at it. Ignore grammar for now, later on you can deal with it. And also, basically, you learn grammar through receptive skills, through reading and listening, just like native speakers learn when they grow up as a kid. And just like you learned the grammar of your native language, you probably didn't study the grammar of your native language in school. You just learned it from your parents through listening and through reading books. The second lesson is learn phrases, not individual words. I used to think that if I memorized a lot of words from a random list I found on Google or from a dictionary, then I would become fluent in English. I tried learning words from dictionaries and from lists that I found on Google, but honestly, I forgot most of those words. And certainly, they did not make me fluent. Instead, what I would suggest you to do is when you are reading or listening and you hear an interesting phrase like an idiom or a phrasal verb, note it down with yourself. Learn its meaning, its definition, and try to use that phrase in your conversations. This is a more effective way to learn vocabulary than just memorizing random words. The third lesson is listening is the most important step to learning English. Think about it this way. When a baby is born in your house, maybe your sibling, maybe your son or daughter, whatever, you don't force the baby to learn and memorize grammar books, do you? No, the baby just picks up the language from its environment. I'm not saying this is not my theory. There's a concept in psychology called behaviorism, which says that humans, especially babies, copy all behaviors from its environment, including the language, which means that we learn languages from our environment through listening. We listen to others, we notice how they speak, we try to copy and imitate them, and we speak just like them. If you're just starting out in English, if you've been learning English for a while and you're not yet fluent yet, then focus on listening because it is the most important category of all of the four domains. Alright, I hope this lesson was valuable. If you would like to see similar videos, then hit the subscribe button down below and subscribe to my channel. Hit the bell icon as well, whatever. Alright, see you in the next one. Bye.